welcome to the second Fragments of Silicon review for the week. This time we're looking at another Idea Factory Compile Heart collaboration, Fairy Fencer F Advent Dark Force, which is part of a newer branch of games, actually. I'm like, things were released only in the past couple of years, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe Advent Dark Force is the second game in the series.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I didn't know too much about it before playing this game.
It looks like it's mostly a re-release of the original one, like an updated re-release.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it looks like it's let me correct that. It is an expanded version of Fairy Fencer F, not a sequel. But the point is, this is actually a fairly new RPG released. Well, first of all, earliest is 2013. The original PlayStation 3 launch, I believe. Though this has definitely been enhanced to work on PlayStation 4 level hardware. Like the specs are fairly high for an Idea Factory game.
It worked pretty well for me. It only had a couple of minor chugs during major transitions in battle.
It worked surprisingly well for me as well. Although that shouldn't be an issue because, well, I'm getting a new laptop here in a few days.
Hooray!
Yeah, it's an 8 gig, 17-incher. So that'll put me within range of a lot more games. Anyway, the point. But yeah, this game worked surprisingly well. Admittedly, did not spend as much time as I had planned to. Played about 6 hours. That's due to a combination of real-world factors. The fact that, honestly, if you played one Idea Factory game, you kind of played them all. In the sense that
they have a house style of game mechanics that is pretty predictable.
Well, yeah, it's like they all share the same engine. The base game doesn't play all that differently than, say, Mugen Souls or Hyperdimension Neptunia. And the game feel is pretty consistent as well. Game feel is one of those things that's kind of nebulous to nail down, but believe me, it's there. That being said, this game is head and shoulders above anything from Mugen Souls.
Yeah.
It's not broken. It doesn't have broken combat, or at least not as broken as, say, Mugen Souls did.
Yeah, the armor you get is a little overpowered, but you still can't go do the super dungeons with it.
I'd say that's the biggest issue still with this game is the balancing is off. I don't think I've played an Idea Factory game where the balance was good, but I'm it's not Mugen Souls bad. Although some of that was in the case of Mugen Souls, some of that was because of DLC issues.
Well, and also a lot of
this version of this game does come with a bunch of DLC that you can kind of turn off, but not much of it is really important.
Yeah.
If you want to have your characters wearing hot springs towels, you can do that.
And I think that's the base DLC. There is other DLC.
Yeah, you get a few bonus Furies, I think, but I couldn't even figure out how to use those at the point in the game that I got to, so...
You can equip them a little bit later in.
Yeah, you have to equip them. And they do make a difference. Not, not a game-breaking difference, but they definitely do make a difference. Like I said, the game has got a very wonky balance. Uh, Also, the art style. So, um, the art style is one where it doesn't make me want to set myself on fire.
Or be put on
Yeah,
FBI watch list.
There are characters in this game that are not either lolis or basically lolis.
Yeah, I'm like, ugh.
I mean, yeah, it's a little generic anime, but that's better than what Mugen Souls is.
Yeah, I'm like, jeez. Between Moving Souls and Trillion, just fucking hell, like, yeah, and it's not just moe style; it's like super moe style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just everybody looks like a 12-year-old. You know, regardless.
Unlike in this game, very few of the characters in this game look particularly young, although there are a couple.
Yeah, it's like, people look their proper ages.
Yeah.
Also, there's like more than one guy character that isn't a joke.
Yeah, like I think Fang's supposed to be like 17, 18, and he looks around 17, 18.
He's supposed to be a young adult by RPG standards, which start significantly younger than young adult in the real life.
Point of order is, people look age appropriate. I know that, obviously there are people who are, into the super moe bullshit, but, I like playing games that don't make me think of pedophilia.
And yeah, and Aaron, your main character, fairy, or your main character's main fairy, whatever. It would have been really easy to take the she's a pink-haired kind of fire elemental Tsundere-ish fairy thing, but she's less obnoxious and actually looks like it's not creepy for her to be vaguely flirtatious sometimes with the main character who is an adult.
I guess that's kind of spoilers, but not really if you know the genre, but they kind of start falling in love at a later point in the story. But it's not like the creepy kind of shit that Mugen Souls was.
Yeah. Anyway,
and there's no bathhouse massaging with sentient soap loofah monsters minigame.
And Fang is, he's not your typical RPG protagonist, but I'd say he's more a typical anime protagonist.
Yes, he put all of his ranks in lazy.
Yeah, he's basically the main character from Konosuba, if I'm being honest here. He's he's very.
This is a sword in the stone story where whoever pulls the sword of the stone is a chosen hero. He only tried because he thought he might get a chance to get free food if he did, and he's rather annoyed that he got roped into an adventure that way.
That being said, as it turns out, there are many heroes because there's like about 100 of these things called Furies. So the central conceit here is long, long ago there was this war between good and evil.
Stop! You heard this one before.
Good goddess, evil god. I think you know how this goes. Except that they battled each other to a stalemate and got enclosed in these swords. Like they're literally pinned down by swords, and the swords that didn't go into the gods hit the earth and are called Furies. And each Fury has a fairy in it that can unlock a sword. So,
and not all of them look like girls. Some of them are dragons or dudes or whatever.
One of them's a robot.
Yes, that makes sense. Then again, they're all living inside like techno-looking swords, so.
Yeah. And
or not always swords, but
So your job is to free the goddess. The interesting thing is, you can go up and free the vile god if you want.
Apparently, in the original edition of the game, there was literally no downside to doing that, except for that it unlocked the final boss fight, or an extra final boss fight. But in this edition, there are consequences if you do that.
Well, they actually added another path to this as well.
Right. Yeah, in the original one, the only real difference was that you got to fight the evil god.
I mean, beyond the vile god path, there's actually a third path called the evil goddess path. I don't exactly know when that kicks in. Like I said, playing an RPG means lots of hours, and I did not have lots of hours.
And you do also have ending variations for a few different characters that your characters that Fang is closest to.
Also worth noting, difficulty is actually scalable in this game.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, you get to choose between 5 difficulty levels from really easy, which presumably all grunts die in one hit and stuff, pretty much, to really hard, and also you can change that whenever you want during the game.
So, whatever level you wish to go with, it's up to you. Let's see. And there's quite the large cast here. Like, admittedly, I didn't get to meet a lot of them. Sorry, I'm kind of limited here because car accidents will do that.
Yeah. And Adam is the one who has the most time to dedicate the games normally, so.
I've been recuperating all weekend. Yeah, before anyone asks, I'm fine. It's, one of those things dealing with. More on that on Wednesday.
Yeah, I barely had any time to play this because my dad retired, and the last 4 days have been very busy.
This is what we were talking about on Tuesday. Like, sometimes you don't have the time to play these things, especially a long-ass RPG.
But yeah, this overall seems less annoying and more interesting than either of the Mugen Souls games or what I heard about Trillion.
Yeah, and the basic formula I saw was, you go to a dungeon, you go through it, you get a fairy, then you go to the goddess event, and then you unlock a sword, rinse and repeat with story events. Now, how long that continues, I couldn't say exactly. Now, said kind of limited. The music.
The insert song is kind of interesting. Other than that, I felt a lot of it was kind of bland.
Yeah, a lot of the gameplay is dungeon crawly, and that music doesn't really stand out, nor does the battle music.
Yeah,
but there's a fully animated.
Yeah, I'll admit that was the other reason I wasn't too into this game. It's not terrible, it's not horrible, but I still didn't find it all that interesting. Like, like the combat functional, but I'm like, also, I think this is just a staple of Idea Factory, the endless fucking tutorials. I will say at least that, the
tutorials here are pretty fast.
Yes. It's not like Mugen Souls where, we have 10,000 tutorials because we're introducing more and more game mechanics as we go forward.
I guess Fang is 20, so he's a little old. He's a little young. He's a little older than he looks, actually. But yeah.
But so that's a first.
Anyway, yeah, this game, it's okay. It's decent, which is a step higher than most of the other games like this that we've played. It doesn't have any really big flaws that I noticed.
It's like, and it's priced at $50, which isn't a surprise considering this is a full-on release.
Yeah. It's a full price game, but that is a little bit of a. I mean, it's a high price because it's a full price game.
Yeah, it's the expanded edition of a full priced retail release.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like when the Mugen Souls games came out, they were $20 because by that point they had been out on the PlayStation 3 for ages, and honestly, it was if you had a PlayStation 3, it was better to pick them up because they were that fucking cheap. With Fairy Tail F, Advent Dark Force, yeah.
You mean Fairy Fencer?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Fairy Fencer F, Advent Dark Force. You're not going to be getting a cheaper price on not right now, anyway. I suppose I should look to see. Let me see. How is the? Let's see. PlayStation 4. Let's see. How much is this on the PlayStation 4? Yeah. So here's the at GameStop. Buy new $60. Buy pre-owned $49.99, $44.99.
Okay, so yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, like I said, this is a fairly new release at time of recording, and it's comparable or better than the console version. So
also, this is a pretty long and involved game with the plot apparently involves some time travel looping. So
yeah,
you'll get some play out of it.
Yeah, and there are multiple endings depending on which path you take. So there's a lot here. It's just if you don't care for the Idea Factory style, this isn't really gonna change your mind too much.
Yeah, unless the only really objection you had with something like Mugen Souls is all the Moe stuff, but you liked the combat.
I mean, I'm talking more like Neptunia. Like this game actually uses a modified Neptunia engine, which is basically a modified. I'm not sure if Neptunia or Mugen was first, but they share the same
turn-based.
I think Neptunia was first.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, anyway, it's turn-based, but you can move around freely on your turn to get positions and position your attacks.
It's kind of like some of the Tales of series, I think, before Abyss.
Yeah, it's more turn-based than those, but I know what you mean.
But, yeah, they were a little more turn-based before Abyss, I believe.
Well, some of them whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, this is actually the first Idea Factory title I can actually recommend that we've reviewed. We still have not played any Hyperdimension Neptunia games, but
but I've not beaten it, so I'm not really gonna give a recommendation on that.
Yeah, but I mean,
sometimes these kind of games get weird near the end.
I'm talking about in regards to game Idea Factories was on the show. Definitely, it's like it may not be particularly compelling, but it's still a solid game, and it didn't get creepy or unplayable.
Yeah, I'd say if you're in the market for an RPG, you could certainly do a lot worse than this.
Yeah, I'm like, once again, Mugen Souls and Trillion come to mind. Mugen Souls Z was passable from a mechanic standpoint, but still had the OA art style that just never jived with me. All right, I think that'll about do it for this week. Let's see. We only have the one interview this week. Coming up on Wednesday, we'll be having Audi from Sekai on the program. At least we should, barring a last-minute cancellation. They got a new Kickstarter to talk about. And,
man.
Yeah. And I think that they've had a few releases in the 2 months that we last talked to them. So that's happening there. Let's see. MSP is slated to happen. And I imagine Mac's going to be talking about his new, credit sequence for the Mercadian Affair 2.0. Right, and coming next week, as far as reviews are concerned, we'll be reviewing the games Never End, which is a roguelike, and Vive la Ra, which is a very curious puzzle game. More on that next week. And I wish you good gaming.